Okay, the next approach is task-based learning or TBL. Task-based learning is an approach to language learning where learners are given interactive tasks to complete. So instead of a language structure or function to be learned, this approach focuses on a task that students have to perform or solve a problem. And some experts say that this approach is like PPP upside down because students are given a task to perform, and then the teacher would give a feedback or discuss the language that was used and making correction and adjustment. And then there are three basic stages from this approach. The first one is pre-test. Pre-test is introduction to topic and task. So usually the teacher would give an instruction to their student and give a hint that related to the topic, and students would answer the questions by their own thoughts, or it is like brainstorming. And then the next one is task cycle. There are task planning and report. Uh, so in this stage, the teacher would give the real question to students, and then the teacher asks them to pair work or small group, and the teacher would monitor in the back row and see from a distance, and usually the students would make a plan after uh, their discussion. For example, how to explain the report in front of class later, and after make a plan, they have to explain the report in front of class, either orally or writing. And the last stages is language focus. So after the teacher see uh, her student in front of class, and then heard how they speaking, writing, or something like that, the the teacher would help their students with any mistakes that she heard, and then directs them to the correct one. The next approach is the lexical approach. Uh, Michael Lewis has described this approach in 1993. This approach based on the assertion that language consists not of traditional grammar and vocabulary, but often of multi-word prefabricated chunks. They are lexical process, lexical chunks, collocations, idioms, fixed and semi-fixed phrases. Um, those chunks are important part of a language, as we know that adult language users have a lot of chunks at their disposable. For example, how are you, see you later, or you must be joking, and so on. And this approach would steer us away from an over concentration on syntax and tenses usage towards the teaching of process which show words combinations and which are generative in a different way from traditional grammar substitution tables. And instead of teaching will for the future, this approach focuses on its use in a series of atypical utterances. For example, I'll give you a ring. I'll be in touch. I'll see what I can do. I'll be back in a minute. And the lexical approach is fairly straightforward uh, in the area of methodology because there are some activities that students can do. For example, the teacher asking students to add intensifiers to suffix expressions, and then teacher can ask their students to read a text and then ask them to underline all nouns that they can find, and then underline all any verbs that they can find to collocate with those nouns. And word order exercise can do in this approach. And Michael Lewis suggests that exposure to enough suitable input, not formal teaching, is the key to increasing the learner's lexicon, and most vocabulary is acquired, not taught. And next, teachers and students dialogue in together. This approach focuses on dialogic relationship between teachers and students. The dialogic approach is more than just talk because language is co-constructed between teacher and students, where it emerges rather than being acquired. And this approach returns to materials and technology free. So this is a pedagogy of bare essentials because students can express what they want to say, and this approach is not really focused on course books or school syllabuses, but some expert uh, says that it is difficult to countenance in a large classes. That's why the syllabus and course books are necessary. But always remember about our teacher. I mean our role as a teacher, and about how an over reliance on focus on forms based on overused materials may stifle the creativity both of students and teacher. And the next approach would explain by Bunga.